going to a Heisman ceremony.
I was not even crying. Not even doing that.
Today on DNVR Buffs Live, how Juju Lewis is already helping impact Colorado recruiting, and more ball knowers are coming out of the woodwork to say that Travis Hunter is your Heisman winner. Let's dive in. Let's go.
Squad.
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Live. Big show today. The portal, I say it every day, but my gosh, it keeps stacking and stacking. This portal is going crazy right
now. Portaling.
Yes.
It really is.
It's the best thing that's happened with the portal since that girl flashed one.
It's a crazy pull. I almost forgot about that.
Insane pull.
That's something Uncle say. I'm dead.
I miss Uncle.
For real.
Maybe that's why I'm channeling his spirit.
Same.
That was good. We'll get into Scotty went to the CSU hoops game. We'll talk a little hoops at the end of the show. Travis Hunter's already starting to rack up the awards and fill up the trophy cabinet. Updated portal targets and entries, but today we start with what is shaping up to be a massive recruiting weekend this weekend, and how Julian Lewis is already just greatly impacting Colorado recruiting with Caleb Odom.
Yeah. I mean, we knew this would happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
We said from the jump, when you get a quarterback of the caliber of Julian Lewis, you are going to have some residual effects in a positive way. And, you know, it is what it is. I think that if Julian had become a Colorado Buffalo in July, we might have seen a more direct impact on the 2024 class.
Yeah.
But it's what you're still getting the benefits. You're still getting the fruits of this. And Caleb Odom is a perfect example. Going to be one of the single most sought after wide receivers in the entire portal class. He's caught 25 touchdowns in his life already from Julian Lewis. He knows there's a connection there. Mm-hmm. And then he puts a stamp on it and announces Colorado as his first visit this weekend, just in a couple days.
Yeah.
This is huge, man. Caleb Odom coming to visit Boulder this weekend is big time. I mean, obviously the relationship with him and Julian Lewis, I mean, that's something that's going to bode well for those two, you know, especially getting a young freshman quarterback, assuming he starts right out the gate. He's going to have a very, you know, familiar target, a familiar face to be able to rely upon. And like you mentioned, they've connected for 25 touchdowns over the last two seasons, or Caleb Odom's last two seasons of high school, over 1,800 yards through the air. So this is a real connection here. And obviously Caleb Odom is talented as hell, a former 5-star recruit, the number 2 tight end in the class of 2024, the number 8 overall prospect. And that's what's fascinating to me, because I think we just said last week, we don't really hear nowadays about a 6'5" receiver either entering the portal or just being kind of a highly ranked recruit. Like, we're seeing more of the 6'1" to the 6'3" type of receivers who can kind of play different roles. But Caleb Odom is 6'5" and can play different roles. And that's why I think this is so valuable, because he moved from tight end to receiver during the spring at Alabama. So he obviously has a tight end background, clearly at 6'5", he has the size, the physical tools to play that position at a high level. But I just think this is another kind of Swiss Army knife. And we talked about it last week with Coach Prime. He likes guys who can do multiple things, who can play multiple positions, who have versatility. I can definitely see Caleb Odom from day one being a starter at tight end, being, an outside receiver, kind of taking over a Will Shepherd role. This would be a big get. And again, the synergy that these two already have that exists is going to be able to, again, manifest itself in Boulder. It's going to be exciting to watch.
Real quick, Scotty, do you see him more as a wide receiver or tight end?
I see him more as a wide receiver that can play tight end.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I remember we talked to Dukes, I don't know, months ago. And one of the things I asked him was, when you get someone, if they get a Julian Lewis, how soon would you see the impact of like guys wanting to come and play with him? Mm-hmm. And he said right away. And literally, it's been a week since Julian's been a Buff, and now this one's going to hurt Alabama. This transfer out because this was a damn near top 50 player. I think top 65 player in last year's recruiting class. Was highly desired. And you mentioned it, Scotty. It's the versatility, man. I mean, Coach Prime has shown, not just with Travis, but with a lot of the players he's brought in, if you can fulfill multiple roles and if you can do more than one position really on the field, whether that's, even just like an X receiver to a Z receiver, like that kind of versatility, that's something that they covet and they highly value. And if they get Caleb Odom, this is one of the gets of the entire Porter cycle already.
Huge. And another thing too, real quick before you go, RK, like typically guys in this situation, they go to Alabama and they leave because they didn't play.
Yeah.
Caleb Odom played in all 12 games for Alabama this season as a true freshman. Made also one start against Mercer. Obviously, he didn't have a ton of production, only 7 catches for about 65 yards, but obviously there are a lot of mouths to feed, and it's not like Jalen Milroe was throwing the ball 40 times a game anyway.
Right.
But again, this is somebody who was able to crack the lineup at Alabama as a true freshman. Well, and now it's good stuff, man. Go ahead.
Sorry.
You good.
I think a lot of him playing in 12 games has to do with they were trying to keep him happy.
Yeah.
They were trying to keep him involved. You saw them target him when, at the end of games. Again, true freshman on a stacked team. But to me, when you see a guy play that much, even though it's only in spot duty, a lot of times at the end of the game, so they were trying to show him like, hey, you're still in the plans.
Mm-hmm.
We still want you around here. And we talked about this a lot with Shedeur, and I don't think the Buffs ever hit at this position. But when you have a quarterback who can place the ball as accurately as Shedeur could, and now, of course, as Juju can, these big body wide receivers are such a weapon if you get the right one.
Yeah.
And Will Shepherd was a great impact player for Colorado this year, and you saw him score actually a few times on those end zone fades.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't as good using his hands, especially away from his body, to capitalize on his height and his length. Mm-hmm. And even he didn't have the same height and length that Caleb Odom has. When you have Juju Lewis as your quarterback, bringing in a guy like Caleb Odom, especially for his freshman year, but going on beyond that as well, is so valuable because he can just say, I'm going to put the ball where only Caleb can go get it.
Yep. And you've seen that when you look at the touchdowns. I mean, there's one where Juju throws just a rainbow over everyone, and Caleb, stretches out with that 6'5" frame. He could be an absolute weapon for this team. Moving forward, though, with this visit weekend, it's shaping up to be massive already. Another Alabama player, Jaheim Otis, is going to be visiting Colorado, I think this week, actually, before the weekend. He was a 4-star recruit and the 71st overall player in the 2022 recruiting class. This season, he opted out of the season after playing 4 games, took a red shirt, citing playing time. He also dealt with some injuries over the last 2 seasons. But since 2022, Otis has played in 29 games with 13 starts for Alabama, 57 total tackles, 3 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, 5 passes defended, 6'5", 320. That's exactly what we're talking about. And we've talked about this guy a lot over the last week. One of the top players in the portal, Pete Nakos, I think, from On3 reported he's going to be one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks in the portal this cycle. And something I thought of is this is just like the portal's ever changing, right? But we're seeing it with Alabama now, who just moved on from a new era over a year ago, right? Or less than a year ago at this point. I think this is something we need to keep a track of, is these coaches who come in, they're able to retain the roster, but it's after that first year, how many of those guys actually stay, especially from these big, blue blood programs. I mean, you're seeing it from Nebraska this year. You're seeing it from Alabama. Michigan, it hasn't really started yet. Georgia's had some big entries that we'll get into today, but it's just fascinating how it's all working out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the portal is flawed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the sport is flawed for sure. But, I think I saw, I think it was an on-through report, like Dylan Stewart agrees to a $1.5 million deal to come back.
Yeah.
And it looks so weird when you see stuff like that. And then if you look, all the comments say sports broken, sports cooked, blah, blah, blah. But I have to remind people, did you watch college football on a Saturday at any point this year? Because it delivered every single week.
Yes, it did.
So while the portal is flawed, and NIL is flawed, and collectives are flawed, it's actually, in my opinion, making the sport better. Now, again, we got to figure out how to regulate all of this stuff. But Vandy doesn't beat Alabama in the pre-portal era, in the pre-NIL era.
Absolutely not.
People thought that it was going to make the rich get richer, and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Places like Alabama used to be able to hoard all of the 5-star players. Yep. And now they can't do it because guys can leave on their own volition, and they can get paid to go somewhere else, and they can get bigger and better opportunities to play more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it's a flawed system. The results of it, though, are actually really great football.
Yeah, Diego Pavia is stuck in JUCO. He never makes it to the Division I football if the transfer portal doesn't exist.
Amen.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Otis, I mean, this would be a huge get too, especially at a position of need at that interior kind of defensive line. Playing that one technique. What we saw Chidozie Nwankwo play a lot this past season. What we saw Shane Cokes play a lot of the last 2 seasons. This is another guy, Jaheim Otis, who played at Alabama as a true freshman. Got on the field as a true freshman for the Crimson Tide. Obviously, the last couple seasons didn't go as well as he wanted. He obviously took the red shirt this year after 4 games, but this is another talented guy who wants to see the field and make it to the NFL. And obviously, learning under Coach Sapp, learning under Coach Dancy and D-Lou, I don't know if there's a better spot for a defensive lineman to reach the next level than Colorado. So this would be another big get. I'm excited to see him here for a visit this weekend, I believe, right? Yeah.
It said this week. That's what multiple people reported. I think Pete Thamel and Nakos reported this.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Multiple outlets reported it.
And then I think it was Nakos who said that Colorado is the early favorite.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're getting the first visit.
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if him and Quinn are boys.
I
would assume so,
they
right?
have to be. Yeah. They have to be.
That'd be cool.
We're kind of new to this, but I think I'm starting to realize that in high school recruiting, you want the last visit.
Yes.
In portal recruiting, I think you want the first visit.
Yeah.
I
Get
would
them off
agree
the
with
market
that.
ASAP.
I would
Exactly.
agree with that.
Yep.
Especially, it's just like the old free agent visits in the NFL, which is basically what we're dealing with now.
Right.
It's give them a contract, don't let them leave.
Exactly. Exactly. There are 2 other guys who have been confirmed to visit this weekend as well. We've talked about this guy, Northwest Missouri State tight end Zach Atkins. Chris Hummer of 247 Sports reported earlier today that he'd be visiting Colorado over this weekend, December 15th through the 16th. Colorado offered him last week on the 2nd. He was an unranked 2022 recruit, went to Northwest Missouri State because they gave him a scholarship. He actually had a preferred walk-on, I think, to K-State, and he opted to go to the D2 route. Over the last 2 seasons, played in 17 games, 30 receptions for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns, 6'3", 240 pounds, currently rated the top available tight end in the transfer portal by 247 and has over 18 FBS offers.
Love it.
Should be another good get. This is a guy who, since he hit the portal, been offered by pretty much everybody. Ole Miss, Kentucky, Houston, Pitt, Toledo, some other schools as well. So I think I saw a story about this is kind of him living out the portal dream. Obviously, as a D2 guy, getting an opportunity now to kind of be courted by Division I schools. And I'm sure he's probably going to take his time and make sure he's making the right decision. But this would be another good get. I love the size. I saw somebody at 247 Sports call him kind of the perfect kind of tight end number 2 for a team, which. You imagine him and Caleb Odom in a 2 tight end set, so to speak. That would be absolutely electric. And I think Atkins kind of gives you more of that true kind of blocking tight end form, but also has pass catching chops as well. So I just really like this staff targeting the tight end position because obviously it didn't play a big role this past season. But again, moving into a new era with Julian Lewis as your quarterback, it would behoove you to have different looks and different guys available at different spots and be versatile.
And I mean, we're seeing a very, very clear early emphasis on the tight end position from this staff going after the portal.
Yep.
And I think that is a part of a future emphasis on the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone just thinks, Colorado's going to turn around and throw it 40 times a game again next year. I highly, highly doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see a big emphasis on the run game from here until the season starts.
Definitely. Let's take a break. There is actually one more visitor that we'll talk about, and then we'll get into portal targets, offers, entries, all that good stuff. Shout out to the homies at Live Well. Scotty P, you living well?
I'm always living well.
Hell yeah. Live Well's got 25 convenient Colorado dispensary locations with a premium selection and expert service that awaits you. Seriously, they're one of the best dispensaries I've been out here in Colorado. Always extremely friendly, extremely knowledgeable. Will help you find out whatever you're looking for. They've obviously got a variety of products, and they proudly offer a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. Go to livewell.com. You can scan the whole menu there, and you can schedule an in-store pickup as well. When you stop by, mention the code DNVR25 in-store, and you'll receive 25% off one of their amazing products today. Some restrictions apply, but shout out to Live Well. Basically a Colorado staple out here, so go check them out.
Amen. Also, shout out to Bet365, where Travis Hunter is currently a minus 2,500 favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. We'll talk a little bit more about that later and what that really means. But they also have lots of bets where you can make good money. You just can't do that on Travis Hunter right now. You could have a long time ago. And man, is it fun to be over at Bet365. Missed my same game parlay by one CD Lamb catch last night.
Wow.
That hurts. But a game that I didn't care about, I was literally invested until the very last snap because CD Lamb was wide open over the middle of the field and they didn't throw the ball. But that's just what makes betting so fun, man. Whether it's you're putting $5 on a game, the sudden investment you have literally and figuratively just hits so different. So if you haven't tried it, get over to Bet365 now. Use that code DNVR365 and unlock $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Of course, you must be 21 and older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
The last of the confirmed visits right now that we have is Gabriel Lightfoot. We talked about him yesterday. They offered him yesterday. He is now coming on a visit. Was a 3-star recruit in the 2022 recruiting class. Since then, though, he's been a staple for Fresno State defensively and has been damn near an impact player for them. Played in 35 games with 27 starts since 2022. 66 tackles, 6 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 pass defended in that time. 6'3", 296. There's more visits to come this weekend also, by the way. We'll see how many of them get reported, but if not, I'd go to the DNVR.com and sign up to become a diehard because the Prime Tracker's live tracking all that, and I'll have an article this weekend on the visitors too. So
Nice.
I want Lightfoot, I'm not going to lie. Probably even more than Otis, I think.
Yeah?
I mean,
What about him?
6'3", 300 pounds, obviously speaks for itself. But you mentioned the 27 career starts, started at Fresno State as a true freshman at 17 years old, has been in the lineup ever since. Has been one of the Mountain West's most productive defensive tackles over the last 3 years. Again, this is a guy just experienced, knows how to play football, defeats double teams consistently in the run game, is good enough in the pass game. And again, I feel like just a full offseason working with Damian Lewis and Warren Sapp will really just unlock something different in this young man. I hope Lightfoot ends up above for real.
Yeah, me too, man. He's, I think Colorado saw the impact that Block Bully had on their defense this year.
Yeah.
And obviously they knew he was going to have a big impact. That's why they made him such a priority last year. But I just mean that position in locking it down can change your entire defense.
Yes.
And can change your entire run defense. And so, yeah, I want to see them kind of just double, triple down on making sure that they have size and strength in the middle there.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's get into entries, targets. Because like I said, the portal's going crazy right now. You remember Williams Nwaneri?
Sure do.
The 5-star who committed to Mizzou last year. He plays on the edge.
Bro,
He's entered the transfer portal.
do you remember the video?
I don't remember, but I
Yes.
saw it today.
Ugh.
Yes.
You talking about the Drinklets?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, I saw that today for the
Yep.
first time, actually.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Like, again, Coach Prime was so prophetic when he talked about this of just, you're putting in so much resources into getting guys who could leave next year.
Yes.
And that one is a perfect example of, Mizzou bent over backwards 12 different times to try and get Williams Nwaneri there. And what do they have to show for it now?
You know what that video reminds me of? Do you remember that video of oh my God, I can't think of his name right now. The LSU head coach.
Yes.
You know,
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly a couple years ago with that
Dancing
recruit
in the-
dance.
The 360
Yes. And dude hit the portal too after that next season, bro. It's just so funny.
No, bro, it reminds me of that old Apple video where like you've got Steve Jobs and all those guys like jumping up and down, like dancing on the
yes.
stage.
Oh, the Microsoft one.
No,
where,
it's Microsoft.
Where,
Okay. Bill Gates, yeah.
no, the Clippers owner. What's his name?
Steve Ballmer.
Ballmer?
Yeah, he's going crazy in
Yes,
that one.
yes. So it was Microsoft, yes. That's exactly
Oh
it.
my God. Yeah, I mean, Coach Prime, I mean, he knows what he's talking about more often than not. But that point in particular about the transfer portal is going to be talked about for forever, as long as the transfer portal exists.
Yeah.
Y'all putting in all this work and putting so much stock into a high school signee class full of 5 and 4 stars, and you're touting it as you have a bright future with these young guys, and half of those dudes are gone after a year.
Yep.
And it's especially true, obviously Alabama and Georgia are going to be able to retain at a higher level than most. You could probably throw Ohio State in there.
Yeah.
And so they're still going to come out on top. But like this TCU class this year that has them first in the Big
Yes.
12, that has 33-star kids in it.
Half of them are gone in 2 years.
Yes.
Bro. If
I
not
would bet heavily
more.
that at least half of them are gone in 2
Yes.
years.
Another big portal entry that came through today. Guy we talked about, I think, last offseason too. USC tight end Deuce Robinson, the 5-star, who signed in I think May or June because he was debating whether he wanted to play basketball or football. Ends up picking football, signing with USC. He's entered the portal.
What year is he though?
I'm pretty sure he's 24,
He's a young guy.
right?
I think he's going to have 3 years of eligibility left.
Okay.
Yeah, let me double check. I could have sworn we were talking about him last offseason.
I feel like he was there for a year at least.
Or 23. So, yes,
Okay.
you're right.
Okay.
So, let me pull
Probably
up his-
redshirted that year.
I'm pulling up his game log. He's played in 23 career games.
Okay. Good for him.
So he's only got 2 years
2
of
left.
eligibility remaining.
Yeah.
39 receptions, 747 yards, and 7 touchdowns over those 2 seasons.
And he's, if I remember, a little bit undersized as a tight end. 6.
Oh, no.
No?
The opposite.
No.
6'6", 220.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Big fella.
He's a
Hooper.
monster.
Former Hooper.
Yeah.
Again, another guy like Odom who can play tight end, can play receiver, has the passing chops.
Who am I thinking of?
This would be another great get. I mean, getting both of them. I mean, obviously, Colorado hasn't offered yet or anything like that.
Right,
He doesn't
he
have a
just
visit
entered.
say he just entered the portal right before we went live, but be another amazing get.
Damn. That's huge. I realized what just happened. I had him on my Madden team, but it was like through an imported class type
got
of
you.
thing, and he was like only 6'2" on my team.
That's crazy.
I got robbed.
They got to get
You
that
did.
right.
Another high-profile guy entering the portal is Jamal Jarrett, 6'6", 340-pound defensive lineman from Georgia. Was a 2023 4-star, 176th overall player. Has played in 16 games since 2023, but has done that in limited playing time, only 9 career tackles. He's entered the portal. Okay. Targets. Reginald Hughes was offered by Colorado yesterday. Former Jacksonville State linebacker who had a monster year this last season. 82 total tackles, 10 TFLs, 4.5 sacks. Was a 2022 JUCO recruit that signed to Ole Miss, played in 16 games over 2 years, and then entered the portal and signed with Jacksonville State last offseason. Again, Colorado has offered him 6'2", 230 pounds.
So this will be his 5th year of college football?
22, 4th.
Okay.
Colorado's offered Elon edge rusher Kazim Moore today. He was an unranked 2022 recruit signed with Elon an FCS program. In his 3 years at Elon, 106 total tackles, 21 TFLs, 13 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 pass defended. Had a breakout season this year with 51 total tackles, 12 TFLs, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and that pass defense. He's gathered at least 13 offers since entering the portal, including USC, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Texas Tech. So that's a name to look out for.
Love it. Can you name Elon's mascot? Scotty? Phoenix.
Would have never guessed that.
That's kind of cool.
And Colorado side of things here. Let's start. Yesterday, Asad Wasim entered the portal. Another guy who was a part of that 2023 class 2023 class that the prior coaching staff got a commitment from. He ended up sticking with his offer, and Coach Prime extended another offer for him to come back in 2023. He's hit the portal. Destin Wade has entered the portal. And I'm sure the chat is talking about the most natural place you go to after that. What is Keaton Wade going to do?
Yep. Look, we never know. These things are so fluid, things can change. But sounds like Keaton Wade will stay around.
Yep.
And I think, obviously these guys will always want to play together, right, as brothers. Right. And it's amazing when you get to do it. Also, sometimes it just gets to a point where, the opportunity for Keaton is very clear.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be starting on the edge for Colorado next year, or at the very least contributing even more than he did this year. For Destin, the opportunity is not as clear. And who could blame him if he wants to go somewhere where there's a more clear path for him to play? That's what these guys want to do. So that does not mean that it's guaranteed, but I think there is a chance that Destin transfers and Keaton stays. A very good chance.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Keaton went elsewhere. Again, like you just eloquently laid out, Keaton, he's got a really good opportunity ahead of himself in Boulder next year. Again, whether that's a starter or whether that's being in the 2 deep as a regular contributor, he's gonna have a role. And the same can't be said for his brother. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities. I liked what Destin showed, particularly in the spring game.
Yeah.
Open practice before the season as well. He's a lot more mobile than I think he gets credit for. He's obviously accurate, can throw the ball, has arm talent. But there's going to be a spot out there for Destin Wade to play quarterback for somebody. And I'm excited to see where he ends up.
Today, the biggest one, though, Deion Hayes entered the portal. He obviously got hurt earlier in the season. Had season-ending surgery, had an opportunity to come back if he wanted to, but has decided to enter the portal with 1 year of eligibility remaining.
Who's that?
Deion Hayes.
Yeah. Interesting one for sure. Definitely a guy that you probably would have liked to have around.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully at a position where there's definitely some guys such as Keaton Wade.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by that one. He was obviously productive, when you played those first 4 games of the year, led the team in sacks before he got injured. But obviously we haven't seen him play since, I believe, the Baylor game. Which
was early, yeah.
Yeah, which is over, 2 months ago. And again, yes, Deion Hayes is a talented player. He tells me that he's 100% healthy now from his surgery. But again, losing somebody from, a defense, a pass rush that led the team in Big 12, a defense that we expect to return some guys who contributed to that total. It's not the end of the world, but it is probably at this point the biggest loss that we've seen. But again, if Deion Hayes, who only played 4 games this year, is your biggest loss at this point after 48 hours of the portal officially being open, you're in a decent spot.
Definitely, and you got Sam Okunlola still has eligibility, Arden Walker, Tajay McCoy. You have some youth in this room that has shown promise, not to mention guys like Brandon Davis-Swain, who hasn't really shown what he can do at Colorado yet. London Merritt's coming in, Alexander McPherson.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot of youth and a lot of potential in that edge room. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if they attack that in the portal too.
Real quick, Keaton Wade did post on his Instagram that his brother was entering the portal with the caption, "This one hurt, brother. with a broken heart emoji. Proud of you. You know I'm with you to the end. So doesn't sound like someone who's going along with him.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's take our next break. Shout out to the homies over at Elevations Credit Union with the sexiest, best-looking credit card in the game. And a way to directly contribute to and help CU student athletes in their NIL fund. With the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards card emblazoned with that iconic CU Buffs logo. On top of various cardholder benefits, Elevations donates 2 cents per swipe to the CU student athletes through NIL. You also get 3% cash back on CU tickets and merch, along with select CU merchandise. 2% cash back on restaurants, gas, streaming, and phone plans. 1% cash back on daily spending. And like I said, every swipe supports CU student athletes through NIL. But Elevations Credit Union been doing it since 1952 out here in Colorado. So you know they're local, and you know that they're going to help protect you and your money. Sign up with the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards card, the only official credit card of CU Athletics, at buffscreditcard.com. You can apply there and see full card benefits and details. Shout out Elevations Credit Union.
Also, shout out to Kurz Lott. We will be in New York City this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But they still have Blue Mountains there. all the way across the country from where it's brewed in Golden, Colorado. Still got the Blue Mountains, of course. And I'm sure we'll be tipping back a few.
Definitely.
And maybe even more than a few on Saturday night when we're celebrating Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy. But if you have reason for celebration or just reason to chill, hit up our friends over at Kurz Lott. Go to kurzlott.com/DNVR and you can have it delivered straight to your door with Instacart. Celebrate responsibly. Kurz Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Speaking of our guy, the Heisman, officially named a Heisman finalist yesterday.
Hell yeah.
No Shedeur, which I'm not surprised, but that's disrespectful. It's Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, and Travis Hunter in New York this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been surprised if Shedeur got in there only because of every reason that we all know. He was obviously a better quarterback than Dylan Gabriel this year, but Dylan Gabriel is a quarterback of an undefeated team that's number one. Honestly, I feel lucky that they're not just giving him the reward for that reason.
For real.
So, unfortunately, keep Shedeur out of there. He absolutely deserved. He's the first Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winner in many, many years to not be a Heisman finalist. So that is what it is. But in the end, this thing's coming down to two people. It's Travis Hunter and it's Ashton Genty, and Travis is a heavy, heavy favorite.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think this should be a landslide decision. I don't know if there's a unanimous Heisman. I don't know if that's a thing. But
he won't be unanimous because I saw a guy from Arizona say he voted for Scatterboo.
True. This should be somewhat of a landslide again. This is arguably the best receiver in college football and arguably the best cornerback in college football, and most definitely the best overall player in college football. This really shouldn't be much of a discussion at this point. Just publish a story today on DNVR.com about why Travis Hunter's Heisman case is just simply rock solid. Go check that out on the DNVR.com for all you diehards out there. But this man played 688 defensive snaps this season. I think I mentioned this on the previous show, but he was targeted at cornerback 39 times this season, which is the third fewest in Power 4. Targeted 39 times. He allowed just 6 first downs all season, which is the best, number one in FBS. I mean, again, 15 passes defended. That's 11 PBUs plus 4 interceptions. That's third in Power 4. The man had an interception every 10.3 targets. Every 10 targets, he's taking that John the other way. And again, the receiving numbers kind of speak for itself. I mean, 21 receiving plays of 20 plus yards this season, led the nation. Number one in FBS. He's going to win the Biletnikoff, in my opinion. He should win the Biletnikoff. His 92 catches, his 1,152 receiving yards are both second in Power 4. So this is somebody, I think you said it perfectly yesterday when I tuned into the show for a little bit. Nobody impacts a higher percentage of the game week in and week out than Travis Hunter.
Ever.
Yeah. Travis Hunter should be the Heisman. Again, I was looking at it too, kind of the highest landslides, the biggest win, most points as a percentage of possible points. Joe Burrow had the highest percentage of Heisman Trophy votes, 93.8%. I think there's a chance that Travis Hunter can get higher than that.
Yeah, I think so
hope.
too. I'm worried about it's all regional. So
It sure
I shouldn't
is.
say I'm worried about, but when it comes to getting that high of a percentage, I think that the west/northwest region of the voters are going to be very swayed towards Genty. That being said, I think Travis is going to win handily.
Yeah.
And as I kind of hinted at earlier, the betting odds are telling us Bet365 right now has Travis Hunter at minus 2,500. And they are tied with a bunch of other major sportsbook as the lowest, meaning some of the other ones have minus 4,000.
Yeah.
One has them even
8.
minus 8,000.
Yeah, I saw 8.
And so what minus 2,500 tells you is that the implied percentage of that happening is 96%. Now, that's a huge deal when we're talking about a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
If I told you a team was minus 2,500 favored on the money line to beat another team, that means they're like upwards of like a 4-touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
But in that case, there is still a world where the other team, one team got food poisoning and the other team has a chip on their shoulder and they have an incredible game plan and they come out and pull it off. This isn't like that, though. There's no outside factors. There's no more games left.
Yeah.
With nothing left, no more data points to be collected, they're saying it's a 96% chance that Travis Hunter is going to be your Heisman Trophy winner. And that's essentially, when it comes to an award, a lock. It's over. There's no, it would have to be some crazy shit to happen for Travis to not win this. So it makes me not want to get into the weeds and argue with these people anymore.
For real.
But then sometimes I have fun with it. So I go back and forth.
Travis Hunter has also won the Lott IMPACT Trophy, awarded to the nation's top defensive player. And as you kind of mentioned, like the ball knowers out there, they know what Travis is capable of. Marcus Freeman was on, I can't remember the name of the pod, but RG3 and his wife. Out of pocket with RG3 and his wife today, talking about Travis Hunter, and it was just constant support from Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame head coach, about what Travis does to impact the game and how unprecedented it is.
Absolutely. And what I loved about what he said is it pretty much lines up with what you just said and what I said yesterday. It's not about snaps. It's never been about snaps. And for anyone to be like convinced by that argument, you just know they've never watched.
Right.
It's not about snaps. It's about impact. Overall impact at an elite level. And he even went out of his way to say that. He said it's not just that he's out there, it's that he's impacting the entire game. Mm-hmm. It's completely rare and truly unprecedented. And that's why people who actually watch the games, not just pull up box scores, are going to vote for Travis Hunter to win.
And also in my story today that went live on the DNVR.com about Travis Hunter's rock solid Heisman case, I had a section just about things that Travis Hunter is the first player to do. And let me tell you, that section is pretty lengthy.
Let's go.
My favorite one, though, the one that I included in my tweet today, Travis Hunter is the first FBS player in the last quarter century with 9 catches and an interception in the same game. You know how dominant that is to have 9 catches and an interception on the other way.
Yep.
He did that 3 times this season. He did that 3 times this season.
Oh my God.
That's absolutely insane. And we're talking about, again, Ashton Genty. Travis Hunter has done stuff, multiple things that we've never, ever seen a college football player, a football player in general, ever do. Ashton Genty, as special as what he's done this season, we just came across a Heisman finalist from 2013 from Boston College, a running back I had quite literally, me and RK had quite literally never heard of.
respect.
Alfred Williams is his name?
Andre.
Andre.
That's his name.
Andre Williams.
Andre
That's
Williams.
great.
Andre Williams, apologies. But 21 plus 100 rushing yards.
Over 2,100 rushing yards, and I think it was like, 19 touchdowns or something
Power
like that?
5.
Power 5.
Power
in
5.
the ACC.
Melvin Gordon.
When I think that year, Jameis Winston won the Heisman. So in his own conference,
It's crazy, man.
the upper echelon of college football then.
Wild.
Yeah, go check it all that stuff out on thednvr.com.
Wait, really quick to your point about first to do things. Would you say he's making records, not chasing them?
That's an accurate statement.
Okay, cool.
Scotty, got a couple things to ask you about here.
Talk to me.
We've talked about quarterback the last few days on this show, specifically transfer portal quarterbacks. Just your take on, Caden Salter, or just bringing a quarterback in to compete with Julian, whether Julian's ready. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Caden Salter is a talented guy. He wouldn't be my first choice to bring in at quarterback, only just simply because I worry a bit about his accuracy. He had his completion percentage this season, and a handful of games wasn't super impressive.
3 games over 70% completion this year.
Yeah, not great.
No.
But especially with how we know Pat Shurmur's offense wants to operate in terms of anticipate. Yeah, I can't say that word. Say the word for me. Anticipation. Okay. That's what it is. Anticipation. So again, Salter is a talented player. I think he'll end up elsewhere. He is visiting Colorado this week, I believe. But there are 2 guys that I would quite frankly be excited about if the Buffs landed at the quarterback position. One of them, you guys know from
my guy,
New Mexico, Devin Dampier. And I'll say that Dampier has some of the accuracy problems that Salter has, but not to that extent. Dampier had 2,700 passing yards this season to go along with 1,100 rushing yards. So that's damn near 4,000 total yards of offense. This is just a dynamic playmaker with his legs, can obviously make plenty of plays with his arm, and I think he was hampered a bit by his receiving core. Wysock was a good receiver, but they obviously didn't have the receiving core that he would have at a place like Colorado. I would love to see Devin Dampier compete with Julian Lewis, back up Julian Lewis next season for the Buffs. Another guy who Buffs fans are probably familiar with, if they watched Kansas State play Tulane earlier this season, was Tulane's quarterback that just entered the portal, Darian Mensah. Again, I remember watching that game, that Tulane-Kansas State game, in my hotel in Lincoln, Nebraska, getting ready for the Nebraska-Colorado game, and just being like, who the hell is this kid?
They should have won.
They should have won. A freshman quarterback, 6'3", 200 pounds. Again, this season threw for 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. He takes care of the football. He can make plays deep down the field with his arm, is very much athletic. And again, some of the throws he made in that game in particular, and just really throughout the season, really has me excited for his future. Again, I would love to see him in Boulder next year, competing with Julian Lewis, backing up Julian Lewis. But wherever that young man ends up, Darian Mensah, the Tulane transfer quarterback, he has a bright future. But those are just 2 guys at the quarterback position. It's going to be a topic that gets talked about on this show and other shows throughout the offseason until another quarterback gets brought in. But Duke said it last week, and I agree with him. It would be smart to bring in a guy, an experienced quarterback who can compete with Julian Lewis, kind of bring the best out of him, and also be there in case, God forbid, Julian Lewis, gets injured or just isn't ready day one out the gate. So those are just 2 guys who I keep an eye on.
And you've lost 2 quarterbacks, Walter Taylor and Destin Wade now.
For sure. My only thing with this is I don't think Dampier or Mensah are leaving their spots.
I hear that.
To not go somewhere where the word promise is really strong, but where there's the obvious inside track to a starting position. And so I think that in the end, Colorado is going to have the challenge of trying to add to the QB room with quarterbacks who aren't expecting to start right away.
That's a tricky game to play.
It's a really tricky game to play.
Because I don't think you want to be in a spot where you bring in a quarterback who you don't want to ever see play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's I don't think that's good business. And I think this really all falls on Julian Lewis and what he's willing to do in terms of competition. Because I feel your point about guys like Darian Mensah and Devin Dampier who were very productive at their last spot. They're probably looking to continue to be productive at a step up in competition. League, right. But I would venture to say that both of those guys are competitive to the point where it's like, I know I'm cold. I know I'm like that. I feel like I can beat out a 17, 18-year-old freshman, albeit a 5-star, for at least this season. I feel like that would be their mindset. And again, if Julian Lewis is okay with competing with, an experienced guy, perfect. And I feel like that's the best situation. You go through fall camp and the best man wins. And you have, worst case scenario, you have two really good quarterbacks that you feel comfortable with playing.
The only other thing I'll say about this, and again, I think that sounds fantastic, is that these guys are probably going to cost north of $1 million to bring in.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, true.
You probably aren't paying that much for guys that you aren't expecting to play right away.
Fair enough.
It creates a crazy situation that we're in.
It is.
And the truth is the best way to do this, and Colorado just hasn't necessarily had time to do this yet, but the best way that other teams are able to do this, the way that you have Carson Beck go down and Gunnar Stockton comes in, is through recruiting freshmen.
True.
So that, next year, the year after that, you continue to go after good young players at quarterback to then bring into your system and say, hey, you're next up after Juju.
Yeah, I feel that.
They've been looking for a backup quarterback since Coach Frum's got here. And it's just hard because they've had an established guy in Shedeur and now Julian all 3 years. So we'll see. Let's take our last break. Then we'll get Scott on hoops and questions. Shout out to the homies over at Circle K, the one-stop shop on the road for literally whatever you need. Gas, snacks, drinks, all that good stuff. They help fuel our Great American Stampede. And shout out to the Circle K in Colorado Springs, who we cleaned out multiple times. They were actually really cool, and they were cool with us just kind of turning that Circle K into a zoo for a little bit. But shout out to Circle K. Scan that QR code on the screen or go join the Inner Circle now by downloading the app. All you need is your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. After that, it's just your phone. You'll get just your phone number. You'll get deals sent straight to you. Everyday deals on food, drinks, gas, and more. If you sign up for the Inner Circle, you'll receive 25 cents off per gallon on your next 5 fill-ups. But download the app and sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
Also, I just got distracted. But a shout out to my Toyota. Best car on the road. Not just mine, but any of them are the best cars on the road. Can't say enough great things about the people at Toyota, the services of Toyota, the features of my Toyota, the ride. It's all 10 out of 10. So if you're looking for a new Toyota and to get into the Toyota family, visit a Front Range Toyota store at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Scotty, you went to the CU BTA match against CSU on Saturday.
Sure did, man.
What can you tell us?
The Buffs put the belt to the little bros. That was obviously my first time watching Buffs basketball this season in person, and I was impressed, man. I got to say, from the opening tip, I mean, this Tad Boyle's boys were absolutely locked in. It caught me a bit by surprise because obviously Nick Clifford, who spent 3 years as a Colorado Buffalo, who's now Colorado State's best player, made his return to Boulder for the first time as a CSU Ram. And obviously, I think he's a future pro. Like I said, obviously the best player on the team, but the Buffs had that boy in jail in absolute clamp mode. Clifford was 4 of 15 from the field, had just 10 points. It was his lowest scoring output of the season. I believe it tied his career low, at least for the last 2 seasons, at least since he's been a Ram. So the defensive masterclass put on by the Buffs was very impressive. And Andrew Yakimovsky, who is known as a shooter, didn't shoot it well on Saturday, but he was a big reason why Clifford was held in check.
He's a dog, dude.
He really is, man. Experienced guy. I see why Tad Boyle was so high on him coming into this season. He impressed me. And obviously, Bangad Dak, to me, was kind of the biggest kind of eye-opener of the night. He had his best game of his college career.
Led the team in points, right?
Yeah, career high 16 points, 7 to 8 from the field. This team, again, doesn't have the star power that it did last year with KJ Simpson and Tristan Da Silva and Cody Williams, but I think this team is going to surprise some people just from the aspect of they are well coached, they play as a team, they defend, they rebound, staples of Tad Boyle teams. And I think, again, with 2 wins that I quite frankly didn't expect them to get. The win over UConn and even beating a, experienced, talented CSU team on Saturday. This team, again, is impressed me, and I think they're going to, surpass some expectations this season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in a football press conference a couple weeks back, and I'm not going to mention names, but media around us set the over-under on Big 12 wins at 3.
Yep.
And I was like, Tad won't allow a team to be that bad. And this is one of Tad's, at least on paper, least talented rosters.
Yeah,
sure.
But I almost wonder if that gives him a little bit more ability to like step in and convince guys to play his way.
Yeah.
And the truth is, people can wring their hands over this all the time. Like the Tad Boyle way wins.
It wins games.
It's not always sexy,
true.
but defense. I mean, he just preaches defense and rebounding and defense and rebounding.
Yeah.
And when teams commit to that, you can win a lot of games. So it's going to be incredibly difficult to like ball out in this year's Big 12.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I do think Colorado will surprise some teams. And heck, if they get off to a good start, who knows what could happen? You really only have to go like 500 in league to be considered for the NCAA tournament in this league.
Well, especially now that they're sitting at 7-2 in the non-conference. You have 2 more non-conference games left. They play South Dakota State on Friday, and then they'll play Bellarmine on December 21st. Then it's straight into Big 12 play. It's kind of a weird, like, they're an experienced team, but they're not like obviously Division I experienced. So you have some experience to rely on, but they're also learning at the same time, type of thing.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
And I think they're low-key starting to get an identity, too. Obviously, it's going to be defense and rebounding. Speaking of the defense, they held CSU to 55 points on Saturday, which is their lowest scoring output as a team this season. And also, too, Elijah Malone didn't have a big game points-wise on Saturday, but he was involved and active early. And when you have such a post presence like him, who is so massive and just physically imposing, oftentimes most teams aren't going to have one guy that can guard him. So he's going to consistently be attracting 2 guys, and he's a more than willing and capable passer. So when you kind of have an offense identity where you can get into the post, either he scores or kicks it out to an open man, and you can get the ball moving all around, and you play defense like the way this team does on the other end, they're going to surprise some people.
Also, Goonsville pointing out that Julian Hammond, Goonsville athlete.
Hell yeah.
Shout out Goonsville.
Shout out Goonsville, man.
Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to do questions now. Kamada, will Juju be traveling to the Alamo Bowl? I
don't know.
I think the timeline matches up for it to happen. But Julian has a state title game next weekend, not this weekend, right?
Yes.
So
the 21st.
That'd be pretty quick for him to play that game and then move to Colorado, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he could show up to the game.
He could just go. Yeah. I think, if anything, he'll just go and just be on the sidelines. I don't know for sure, but I think Colorado will be in San Antonio for a good few days before the game. So you could also have Juju, just show up and observe practice.
Definitely.
But as far as I'm concerned, you can't practice with the team or put on a jersey on the sideline until you're enrolled in school. And he will not be enrolled in school yet because second semester is until after the new year.
Yep.
We saw something like this happen in like the national championship game last year where
Charles Lester.
Yeah.
He was on the sideline for when they got beat down by Georgia, I think.
You're right. Yep. So yeah, that doesn't even necessarily make sense, but whatever.
He was.
It can. I know, but I'm saying the timing doesn't make sense. But maybe their semester started a little earlier, or whatever, their trimester. Who knows? The point is, you got to be enrolled in school.
It kind of goes along with this next question: how many practices can Juju attend with CU? Well, when his season ends, again, Not this weekend, but on, I'm assuming either December 20th or December 21st. That's when his state title game is.
21st, I believe.
And then the bowl game is literally the 28th, the week after. So he won't be enrolled, I don't think, at that point, but he can just hang out, I guess.
Yes, he can.
Two Favorite Uncles, their site we can see the portal on. Just go to 247 or come a diehard and follow the Prime Tracker. LP Simmons, how good are the Buffs backup quarterbacks? Love your show.
We don't know. They didn't play this year.
Yeah. Very inexperienced.
For sure. I mean, I think everyone was impressed with the way Ryan Staub played against Utah last year. That's about the only data point we have.
Literally, yep. Two Favorite Uncles, when is the last time the portal closes? That's when I start taking the roster seriously. We do have a 10-day window in April.
Which used to be a full window, right?
Yeah, now
I
it's
think
15 days.
And then it was 15 days. Now it's only 10 days. And now they're talking about getting rid of it. Like, I don't know, dude.
But this portal ends the
28th, the day of
28th?
the Alamo Bowl.
Right.
Next is Jamel. Will Travis and Shedeur attend the ESPN Football Awards show this Thursday? What is that for? Do you know? Anyone?
I'm guessing it's
Biletnikoff
a
and all
bunch
that
of
stuff?
different ones. Yeah. I was actually thinking about this because, Coach Prime put out the hypothesis that they didn't put Travis as a finalist for the Thorpe because it's in the same night as another award ceremony, maybe even the Heisman. They should just do it all one night, like all the other sports do.
Yep.
And, there's been like Shedeur was in Vegas last weekend. Travis was in Vegas yesterday. Just put it all in Vegas.
Yep.
Including the Heisman. I'm sure that'll ruffle some feathers within the Heisman trust. Put it all, just do it. Just put it all in Vegas. Have it be like a red carpet award show.
Thanks.
And then you don't have that issue again.
Super chats. JP's Revenge. Remember telling people landing Juju would help in recruiting and getting high caliber players from the portal to come to CU? Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Tapping in already.
Amen.
Thank you for the super chat, JP. East Coast Kev, our guy. I bet on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman back in July when the odds were plus 6,000.
Let me hold $1, Kev.
12 grand coming
Send
up.
me some.
That's so sick.
Let's go. Shout out East Coast Kev. What a bet.
For real.
Warren, here's a stat for you. In the 9 conference championships, 7 had a team that was in a conference for less than 3 years. Realignment at its best. Absolutely. Pac-12 has won 2 conference titles this year.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Sean says Julian Lewis did not sign with the Buffs to sit on the bench, and these top
Teams, QBs
are not going to want to share time. Yeah,
I don't disagree. I think that this is going to be a very interesting balance for them to strike at Colorado.
Yep.
And Ryan Staub is still not in the portal.
Same with Ponder.
Yeah, Ryan Staub would be going into his 3rd full year of college football.
Yep.
You have to assume that he's gotten better. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. It's a very tough balance.
Yep.
But I do believe that Juju is coming here and on his own personal expectations, expecting himself to start against Georgia Tech in week 1 next year.
I agree that Julian didn't sign here not to start, but that don't mean that he won't. That he wouldn't be open to it.
So I know you guys hate him, but On3 had a video today on YouTube. Josh Newberg was talking to, his name is Charles Power, about this recent trend of athletes reclassifying and entering college football younger and the impact of that. And they were saying, not a lot of these guys actually play right away, but then they go to Julian Lewis. And he starts saying, he's basically already had a whole high school career in 3 years because he started as a true freshman. There's not many, or I guess freshmen, I don't know, true freshmen if that works in high school. But
you don't need to be true.
Right. But not many freshmen in high school are starting on varsity,
Facts.
especially at 6A Georgia. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
And so Julian Lewis came in. He's done that for 3 seasons already.
Yeah.
That's a full high school career for a lot of these guys, the name of the FSU quarterback, I can't remember, who came in this year.
Cromanchoke or whatever.
Yeah, Cromanhoke or whatever. He only played his senior year starting in varsity.
Wow.
So Julian Lewis is coming in with more experience, even though he's reclassified, even though he's younger. And in that video, Charles Powers said he's definitely Power 5 ready, just like we've heard from Dukes, from Scotty McKnight, from everyone. So this is not your usual reclassified 17-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty said it best. He is not normal. It's not normal.
Yeah.
And how about this? Add in all the playoff games.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's probably
another
more
season.
than another season.
Exactly.
It's like the old like LeBron one. If you put in all of his playoff games, it's like another 4,
Right.
like whatever, like another season.
Yep.
How do you become a 5-star and you've only played 1 year of high school football?
You
At
just
least started. That's crazy. To
Ball
me.
out like crazy, I guess.
You throw
That's
for
wild.
531 yards in the state championship game.
No, I was talking about the
Oh,
Florida
oh,
State.
oh.
Luke Cromanhoke or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
who just entered the portal today, actually.
Yep. But I mean, honestly, go watch the video. He talks about it. There's, guys who have done that, who've just become 5-stars off of their a senior season where they really blow up.
Yeah, those are the ones you got to worry about,
Yeah.
not the one who's been starting on varsity for 3 years.
Exactly.
Such a good point.
Joe with the super chat. Is there any chance Coach Prime would rotate quarterbacks? I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think he rolls like that.
I don't think you can rule anything out because I don't think Coach Prime is Coach football without Shedeur as his quarterback.
That's true too.
So
He hasn't.
this is going to be all new territory for him as well. So I don't
Actually,
think you
I
can
think
rule
at one
anything
point
out.
Shiloh was the quarterback.
Yep.
Really?
But I complete look. We've talked about a lot of things, even like fake punts and bringing in like Walter Taylor to run quote unquote wildcat quarterback in short yardage situations. And the answer that we always came back to is like Coach Prime is going to say, if we're snapping the ball to someone, we're snapping it to Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
All of that could change now.
Facts.
Now it also could just go right. That level of
It could.
trust could be earned by Juju Lewis.
It
Where he
could.
says, if we're snapping the ball, we're giving it to Juju.
Yep.
But there is opportunities for other things to happen. Even if it's just using an actual wildcat formation. Maybe it's Draylon
Right.
in the wildcat. Like
Cam
that's-
Michael played quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those things are all new. Like I mean, it's Coach Prime might not even know how he feels about that.
For real.
yet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Last one. Jamel asks, where's the meetup spot in NYC this weekend?
We'll let you know if we are doing something like that.
There you go. We got 2 more shows from in here in the studio before we head out this weekend. Scotty and I will be holding it down on Thursday. So you have that to look forward to. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome weekend. We'll be out there in New York. The whole crew will be out there starting from Friday. So
And we got some cool stuff going on.
yeah, definitely.
We're already
Always.
working on some cool projects that are going to come out this weekend. I can't wait for you guys to see where we're doing our show from in New York City, just because it's so New York City to me. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a cool weekend.
Absolutely. it
You
will.
guys are going to New York City for your first time, right?
First time,
Yep.
bro. Scratching it off the bucket list.
Yep.
Let's
Let's
go.
get it.
Gonna be a fun time. Hit that like button. Become a diehard. DNVR.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.